Episode of the Health and Wellness Show. Na kama kawaida, this is where we inform you, we empower you, and we inspire you to take full control of your health and live your best life. My name is Chebet Birir, and today we are talking about cerebral palsy, or CP, which is a condition that affects the brain. Actually, it comes from brain damage, and that brain damage affects how your muscles move and how your body coordination works. And Brookside has partnered with the Precious Blessing CP Foundation, of course, to create more awareness around the condition. And with me on set, I have John Maina, who is a parent to Melissa, who is a child living with CP. We also have Mrs. Carol Chege, who is also a parent to a child living with CP. And last but not least, we have Mercy Wairimu, who is a counseling psychologist, and she'll help us to understand how to help those who have been diagnosed with CP and their caregivers to handle the psychological impact that comes with a CP diagnosis. Karibu sana to the show, and let's dive right in. With you, Mrs. Chege, what exactly is CP? I know I've explained it a bit, but tell us more about it. Being the founder and, of course, a parent of a child with CP, you would understand better. Please tell us, what is CP?
Okay. CP, that is short form of cerebral palsy. And cerebral palsy is caused by brain damage. It can happen during delivery or just after delivery or at any other stage in life. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be the initial stages of life. No, it can happen at any stage. Yeah, and once brain damage happens, there is, of course, changes of life. Like a person who has this condition now cannot be able to live what we call a normal life. And a good example of that is our child here, Precious Blessing. She has that condition from birth. Like she got it during delivery, and it happened because of total negligence at the hospital. Yeah, it's a sad story, but we decided to forgive them and press on. Though it's such a challenge, life has to change. Yeah, just before she was born, our life was different, but ever since she was born, life changed. Yeah, and we thank God. Everything, as for them that believes in the Lord, we say nothing just happens. Everything happens with a reason. Today we have Precious Blessing Cerebral Palsy Foundation, yeah, that is registered in her honor, and it caters for more than 100 kids with the same condition that she has, cerebral palsy. Yeah, so cerebral palsy is brain damage, in short. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'd like us to hear from John Maina as well, who is a father to Melissa. How has it been for you? How was she diagnosed, and how has the journey been?
It's not an easy crazy mtoto wako na CP. In the society saa zingine watu hawataki kukubali. We are neglected. Inaonekana ni kama ni curse. Yani we feel lonely. Sisi kama wazazi wenye tunalea hawa watoto. Ni challenging sana, and it's a costly process. Inahitaji mtu akona dundu iweze pia kukita for the medication of the child. Yeah.
All right, thank you, John. Tutaongea about the challenges later on. Na utatueleza the costs, of course, that you've incurred since Melissa came to, since she was born. Yeah. But let's go back to you, Chege, and then we'll listen to Mercy.
Okay.
What are the causes of CP?
Okay. One of them is lack of oxygen during delivery or at any other stage, but lack of oxygen, and also an accident can happen whereby a woman is expectant, and then the child still in the womb gets to be hit, and then the brain damage happens. So cerebral palsy just comes automatically. Then this condition that we call, it's a sickness that we call meningitis. Meningitis also causes cerebral palsy, and the causes are many. Like many things can happen, and then you get the brain damage. And once the brain damage happens, cerebral palsy appears. Yeah, and it's a condition. It's a brain condition, and it is not contagious. Yeah, and it's not progressive. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. You've heard John say that yeye kama mzazi ana feel isolated, it's difficult, the challenges are many, you need money. So what can you advise parents, first of all, from right from birth, when a child has been diagnosed with CP? How would you advise them as a psychologist?
I think the first and foremost, what they need to do is accept the situation. It is very hard, as you can imagine, because when they were going to the hospital during the pregnancy, everything was okay, as I can imagine, and it would come as such a shock, and especially if the mind has been affected, those. When you don't accept something very quickly, it becomes a trauma because these are thoughts that you've already put in your mind that things didn't go the way I expected. You had certain expectations and they didn't pan out at the end of your at the delivery. When you're receiving your baby, you're expecting this baby to come in a certain way, and then. So I would say the first thing is having acceptance, and then bringing the whole family on board. If it is maybe the nuclear family for sure, and then the extended family. But what we see most of the time, especially where science has not been accepted or science has not been taught, maybe like our parents would say this, this is a curse, this is it's a myth. There are so many myths associated with brain damage and every kind of physical ailments and physical conditions that we can see. All we see is the physical attribute of the disease, but we don't know what has gone on inside. So there's a lot of ignorance, I would say. So I think for the parents, first is acceptance and getting the support that they need from mental health professionals and joining the group. They have a support system within themselves where they're able to talk about the challenges that they are going through in their everyday life.
Okay, we'll engage you more. Mrs. Chege,
yes.
You've talked about the causes, but we'll also like to know the types, the different types of CP, and also the symptoms. I know every child with CP is different, so we'll also have John explain to us the specific challenges that he's faced, and also the symptoms that Melissa is experiencing. So let's start with you. Tell us what are some of the types of CP and then the symptoms.
Okay. There are up to 4. There are many. Yeah, there is. We have one, okay, I may not remember all the names. Like what Precious has is this CP that affects one side of the brain, and that causes the person not to be one part of the body, one side will not be active. Like for Precious, her left side. You notice the hand, the leg. Like she can fold them together at a go and put them at a certain angle. Yeah, and then we still have another one that is that affects the upper limbs. Yeah, upper limbs might be okay, but lower limbs are affected. Whereby such a person or such a child can go to a normal school, but will be using a wheelchair. And of course, there is another one whereby I'm sure you have ever seen a person walking staggering on the road. That is still another type of cerebral palsy. And then we have there is another one that has all the combinations. The combination of all the CPs, whereby such a person cannot be able to do anything totally.
Okay, and what are some of the symptoms that you've experienced with Blessing?
Okay. We came to realize about the cerebral palsy, the kind that Precious had, when she was exactly 2 years. Because the hospital decided to hide it from us. Yeah, there's this fear of you might sue us, So they didn't tell us immediately. We came to know 2 years later through a different, actually it was through a therapist, whereby we are being referred to visit a neuro. So what happened for us, at 3 months, we noticed Precious was not growing normally. Yeah, actually, during delivery, it was negligence. So I had to be rushed for a emergency CS, whereby, I went for the CS, the baby was out, but already she had brain damage. Yeah, CP already had gotten in, and she was taken to the nursery for 1 week, whereby she was not able to breastfeed. She was only depending on water and glucose. Then after a week, we went home. Still, she was not able to breastfeed for 3 days. And then from there, I was still at least trying to breastfeed her. At some point, she was able to breastfeed. And then we noted there was something, but we didn't know exactly what was it until 3 months. 3 months, she started to conversion. But for us, conversion was very new, so we didn't know actually what was happening. But how it was manifesting, like she was shaking one hand and one leg, and also lips. They were moving all together, and also her eyes were moving, like shaking all sides.
At how old was she when you noticed those signs?
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we went back to the hospital where she was born. Of course, they knew what they had done to us, and what happened. They introduced to us anticonvulsant medication, whereby she started taking immediately. With that, the conversions, they reduced, and we were told to be giving her, like, she was to take that medicine for long, and then we were told, like, if I had decided to be giving her, like, each day at 7, I had to make sure.
It's at 7 p.m.
Yes, every day.
Or a.m.
Yeah, whichever I was to choose.
Okay.
Yeah. And so as I thought of 7 p.m. each day, so that's how we started it. Yeah, and our journey started it like that. Yeah, 3 months, and then now we started the therapy sessions. We were introduced to that. So it was a combination of therapy session and the anticonvulsant medication. Yeah, like that until 2 years, when we were told now she needed to see a neuro. A neurologist. Yeah. Okay. And they still didn't tell us. What happened is that they gave us a letter whereby from the therapy center where we were going, the referral, it was written, please attend this baby is a CP case. And that's where we came to realize that so actually our baby is a CP.
From paper?
Yeah.
Nobody told you in person that she has CP?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because the therapist assumed like we knew. And now the hospital was avoiding to let us know because it was their fault.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about that. Now you've mentioned that you were diagnosed at 2 years. But is it possible for it to be diagnosed early?
Yeah.
It is possible.
It's very possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. John, please tell us, how has your experience been with Melissa? What are some of the symptoms that you have been having challenges with?
For the first time she started conversing. That's why I just started to notice all is not well. And the doctors where she was born at, they didn't tell us the naked truth, the real thing. All what I just remember is a doctor akiniambia, John, huu mtoto nimekupatia hii ni mayai. So just take care for the children. That's why I just started to notice everything is not well. Mbona huyu daktari ameniambia kitu kama hiyo? Huyu mtoto nimekupatia hii ni kama mayai. That's why I just started kutaka kujua zaidi. Mbona hii maneno iko hivi? Na akaniandikia dawa kidogo hapo za conversion. Then I just came to know the truth. One day venye nilienda kwa chemist kununua dawa, ndo huyu mtu akaniambia, "Hai, young man, na kuhurumia. Kama ni mtoto anatumia hizi dawa, I feel sorry for you." That's why I just started kuendelea zaidi, ndio nijue zaidi mbona huyu mtu ameniambia hivyo. Ndio akaniambia huyu mtoto hayuko sawa na atakusumbua kwa maisha. Do this thing, kitu yenye mtoto ako nayo, it's very costly kuimaliza. And it's true, it's very costly kujaribu kupambana na mtoto wako na CP.
So for your case, ulikuwa mention that it's costly na kuna challenges the finances. Unaweza sema the different types of medication umetumia, Chege ame-mention therapy, ame-mention neurologist. Umeweza kufanya hivyo vyote, and how are those treatment options working? We'll start with you, John, and then Chege, you'll talk about the treatment options.
Okay, the treatment options imetumia sana therapy ndo sana. Therapy is the most thing yenye kwa watoto. You have to do it continuously.
And how much does it cost per session?
It depends na penye umebook. Yeah, the places zote zinalipisha the same price. Yeah. There's a place maybe they charge you 1K. The other one it maybe charge you 500. But you have to purchase your products. Kuna zile special mafuta za kufanya mambo ya therapy na nini hivyo. You have to purchase everything, products zako zote. Yeah.
Okay. Na medications za anti-convulsions pia ni costly, ama zina cost how much?
Yeah, those products are conversion, they are very, very costly. That's where you feel financially drained. Sometimes you have to to change the medication. Juu kama mimi myself I used to, kama nimetumia Tegreto, maybe next time I use another type of medication ndio nione kama that conversion it will end. Yeah. And that's why the parents feel the pain, the real pain in that process of medication, conversion. Yeah.
Okay, asante sana John, and thank you for being so strong for your daughter. Chege, please tell us how do the treatment options help? For example, the anti-conversions, the therapy. Have you seen improvement in your child after embracing those treatment options?
Okay. The treatment, what we call about our cerebral palsy, we talk of management. Yeah, managing the condition. Like now managing it is through therapy. Therapy is very, very crucial. And also diet, and also the anticonvulsant medication. Yeah, those are the ways to manage it. And of course, loving your child. Yeah, accepting the challenge, though it's never easy. Yeah, it's draining. It's tough. It feels lonely. The times that you just feel like you're out of this world, you are alone. Yeah, so we manage, and of course with God. Yeah, I'm telling you, these conditions without God, you can go mad. But with God, we hold on. We know that it's for a reason that God gave us our kids just the way they are, and a lot of prayers. Yeah, and loving them.
Thank you for being so strong, and of course for founding a whole organization to help other parents with children with CP. Mercy, you've heard Mrs. Chege, you've heard Maina talking about the exhaustion that comes with taking care of children with CP. First, please explain to us, there are those parents who need constant counseling, and they may not afford counseling every day. So what would you tell them? Because I know that the exhaustion comes every often. What would you tell those parents?
Because when it comes to every challenge that you go through in life, it becomes a tougher challenge if you're not speaking it out. If you don't have someone to open up to, someone to share about your challenges, the challenges you're going through. Not only with CP cases, but every other challenge that we go through. Like counseling is it's a lifestyle that we should embrace. So more so, if you have a challenging situation at home, in the case of a parent with a child who is going through CP. And I believe there's several organizations that do on pro bono basis counseling, and because it is something which has come to you as a shock. You are not expecting that you'd go through that. So I think as Madam has said, it is important to look out for where can I get help and mental help, because everything starts from the mind. And when the mind is not okay, for sure everything is not going to work out. And then also, the place of faith in your life. She has mentioned that, that everything that she has mentioned God, so that her hope and faith is what has also been a foundation for her as a pillar, which is also very important because we cannot just ignore the fact that there's a higher being that holds us together. So I would say that not walking alone, have people that are coming, that are supporting you. Fatigue is going to come in. You're going to get a lot of burnout. It is not easy. It is not a journey that you'd walk alone. It is not a usual journey. That it is not the usual challenge that you're going to say, tomorrow my child is coming back home having healed. So as you're managing the situation, managing the sickness, the condition, there's need for that support system. There's need for counseling, just having as much help as you can. Yes. And also, I think something that usually misses out of the equation is the extended family coming in and giving a hand whether it be monetary, whether it be,
Standing in for the parents.
That is so true. Standing in for the parents, because most parents will not speak out, and some of the parents maybe they will leave the union because it's quite scary. Yeah. But I would say that when there's all this support coming in, it becomes much easier. The weight becomes a bit light. Yeah. So I would say support.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mercy. Thank you so much, Chege and John, for being with us. And thank you, Blessing, for staying put. We are going to take a very short break. And when we come back, we'll debunk some of the myths and misconceptions around CP. And we'll also talk about what the government can do to help lessen the burden for parents and caregivers of children with CP. And then later on, we'll talk about nutrition. Research actually shows that more than 60% of children living with CP are malnourished. So we'll talk about how we can better the nutrition of children with CP. And remember, this show is sponsored by Brookside Plus, Live Life Plus. Please do stay with us.
You're watching Health and Wellness, brought to you by Brookside.
With lactose-free milk, you're still able to use this milk in your normal preparation of food, whether you want to add it while cooking or you want to use it in your favorite cup of tea, chocolate, or coffee. You can still use lactose-free. It has the same great taste as any other whole milk.
Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, this is the Health and Wellness Show. My name is Chabet Birir, and today we are talking about cerebral palsy or CP. And with me on set, I have Mrs. Carol Chege, who is the founder of Precious Blessing Cerebral Palsy Foundation. Karibu sana once again, and thank you for joining us. And next to Carol, we have Precious Blessing, of course, who is named who the foundation is named after. She's living with CP, 10 and a half years old, very strong child. And we also have Mercy Wairimu, who is a counseling psychologist, and she's talking to us about how to handle the psychological effects or the psychological trauma that comes with a CP diagnosis. Last but not least, we have John Maina, who is also a parent to Melissa, who is a child living with CP. Karibuni sana once again to the show. Before we went for a break, we were talking about the challenges that parents and children with CP face, and now we want to talk about the myths and misconceptions that surround CP. We want to start with you, Chege. Please tell us, what are some of the myths and misconceptions that you've had, just for you personally and also with the parents that you interact with in your foundation?
Okay. The challenges are many. For one, you'll hear people saying, we practice witchcraft. That's why we have a special needs child, or we have sold the soul of our child to the devil so that you can get money. You hear, this one comes from the in-laws mostly. They say, this child you got, it's not your husband's child. This one you must have sourced outside. In their families, they don't produce, disabled children. Yeah, there's so many. Very discouraging. Yeah, but we press on. Yeah.
Press on.
Yeah.
So you'll tell us what keeps you going, but
Yeah.
let's hear from John and then Mercy. Of course, you've interacted with people and parents with CP, but John, tell us, ni myths gani umesikia about CP?
Many people do usually believe it's a curse from parents, but that's not true. It's all about maybe negligence, za daktari, ama some few problems opo kwa hospitali. Yeah, there's no any myth, but watu wanafaa pia wakubali, it's just a problem. It's not about any myth ama any cause. Yeah.
Thank you, John. Mercy, you've interacted with the parents and children with CP. What are some of the most common myths and misconceptions that you umesikia kutoka kwao?
Because we do have a lot of cultures, very spiritual in Africa. So most of these cases, and especially mental conditions, are associated to witchcraft, just a lot of spirituality. But I'm really, it's quite a good thing that light is now starting to shine. Yeah, that there's a lot of science now and there's a lot of also sensitization, bit by bit. Hopefully we will get there, that, there will be a lot of embracing of what is really the truth of the matter, and not living, in the dark anymore in regard to these situations, because it is quite painful when you hear what parents go through, especially in their homes, in the hands of their loved ones, the people who should be coming in to give them the support, who should be giving them love and understanding, yet they are at the forefront of bashing them. So it's quite unfortunate. So that's what I'd really say.
All right. Thank you, Mercy. So the most common myths and misconceptions are witchcraft, that of course you have sold your child to the devil for money, and the other one is you gave birth out of wedlock, and so the child is bewitched or something of that sort.
Yeah.
But of course we have learned that CP is a scientific and it's a medical condition, and it has several components that cause it. And please do not stigmatize that parent who has a child with CP. And I know that they're supposed to be integrated into the society. Does Blessing go to school?
Yeah, she does.
Okay, so what would you advise parents? There are many parents who hide their children because they fear the stigma and all that. So how would you advise them? Because I understand that the more you integrate them, the better their outcomes.
Yeah, very true.
Yes.
For one, I'll tell you, don't hide your child. Don't hide your child. Your child is a blessing. Just the way they look differently is the way their blessings are different. Imagine yourself, what if it's you in that condition? How do you want people to treat you? Would you like them to hide you? Would you like them to treat you badly? No. So the same way we'd want to be treated, treat that child. Take that child out. Like Precious is a student. We go places with her. She goes to school. We are not ashamed of her. The way she is not because of us. We didn't do anything wrong for her to be born like this. This is purely the will of God, So why hide that child? Give your child life. Don't mind what people will say. Even as we've been stigmatized, But we live beyond that. Yeah, live beyond that, because at the end of the day, God will hold you accountable. How did you raise your child? Raise that child like you are doing it for God. And actually you are doing it for God. Not like, you are doing it for God. So give your child life, love the child, let the child enjoy, take your child out. Whatever people says, just ignore. But sometimes, just tell them, call them closer. Let them know about their condition. Like me, that's what we do. If you're out there, like our place where we live is a field. Sometimes we go there, I feel Precious there, we go, we have time. And then people will always just look at us. So what I usually do is to let them know. I tell them, like, meet Precious. She's a special needs child. She has this condition that is called cerebral palsy. The causes create their awareness, And also accept the people that accept you in the society. Them that are not for you, your peace is costly, It's worth it. Just stick with people that are for you. Yeah.
Thank you. Is she okay?
She's very okay. She's appreciating. Actually, when I talk and I mention her name, she responds.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Because she hears.
Wow.
It's just that she's non-verbal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'll talk to us about the light moments, of course, with Blessing Precious.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So you said live beyond the stigma.
Yeah.
And do it as though you are doing it for God.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chege.
Yeah.
John, tell us, how are you integrating Melissa into the society? Unampeleka shule ama how do you do it?
For now, Melissa don't go to school. She has not yet admitted to any school.
Okay.
But I'm still planning how she can join any school. But it's very costly for that student to be enrolled in any school, because she needs someone or anyone who can take care for her very seriously. Yeah.
Okay. I think, of course, you can talk to Miss Chege after this, and she'll help you integrate Melissa maybe in a school or a setup that will be, of course, conducive for her and cost-friendly for you. Mercy, please tell us and give us a message to the communities who have to accept these children into schools. What advice would you give them, in terms of stigma, in terms of interacting with these children? How should they go about it?
First of all, let me say that, love conquers so much. So when you open your heart, there's just so much that we stand to learn, because most of, let's say you come from a family where you did not experience a person with physical challenges, and it is very easy for you to look the other side and talk all kind of things, and without consideration of what is this parent going through, what happened. Just take time. Actually, what I've realized is most of the parents with CP is that they're always willing to talk to you. They're actually very open, and I think sometimes it could be that we shy away from asking them questions or wanting to know what do they go through. But just engage them, out of, just open your heart out of love, share with them. Then also educate our children. Where possible, let our children interact, of course, safely, because we are teaching them how to interact with everyone in the community, because they are part of the community. As if a child is a child at the end of the day, and interacting with the rest of the children as they are growing, and even teaching our children. Actually, our children would stand to learn so much on how to interact with the community, how to interact with different kinds of people, on emotional and sociological, benefits. They stand to gain so much. Yeah. So I would say, let's open our hearts. Open our eyes. Let's not pretend, it is very easy to just pretend like, everything is okay. Yeah, but let's come in and hold the parents where we can. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mercy. We stand to gain a lot of good things when we interact with children with CP or any child with a special ability. So Chege, please tell us, I know you mentioned before this that there's a difference between autism and CP that many people do not understand.
Yeah.
So what's the difference in your perspective?
Okay. Cerebral palsy is brain damage and is not treatable. So what we do, we manage it, while autism is cognitive. Yeah. So there's that difference. You have to note the difference, and also you will never find an autistic child on a wheelchair, except that that child has several disabilities. Yeah, because sometimes you can find a child has autism and at the same time still suffering from cerebral palsy. Unless the child has combination of the disabilities, an autistic child will be able to walk, feed themselves, do a lot of things compared with CP. A CP child, especially that degree now, like Precious, is a person who will depend on help, throughout their life.
Okay. Thank you so much. John, what are some of the light moments as you take care of Melissa?
As a parent, when I just look back to where we have come from, and I have my own target where I want to see my daughter. She motivates me. She makes me feel so energetic. So I have to work hard. I need that energy, and you need to have that energy in order for you to keep on moving strong. Because of the society, you feel like neglected by the society, but yourself you have to accept accept yourself. You as yourself accept the situation, then move on strong as a parent. It's not an easy journey to handle such a child. It's a very challenging journey, but you need to be strong, be courageous in order for you to move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, John. Mercy, please tell us how you would advise a parent who's just been diagnosed, whose child has just been diagnosed with CP, and they're saying that it is all gloom and doom. Some parents may actually be suicidal. Some parents may want to sell their children, and many of them will want to hide their children. So what word of advice would you give them as we wrap up, and then we'll have parting shots, and of course what you think needs to be done in the country for children with CP?
Okay.
What I'd say, don't walk alone. Don't walk alone. I think the enemy of progress is isolation. So if you keep to yourself, when you start to feel that you're all alone in a situation, you find yourself feeling even worse, and it's not going to help in any way. But if you come out, seek that help that you really need. Especially, you always begin with talking to somebody. Get the counseling that you need. Get into a support group with parents that are going through the same issue, and also the medical support. Following up with the medication for the child. Slowly by slowly, it's going to get better. But don't walk alone in this journey. Immediately you realize something is happening, and your mind, your mind will always, you will always know you've changed. That's how you realize you've been traumatized by a situation, because you now start behaving differently, because your behavior changes, from what you're telling yourself in the mind. You've been affected in your mind, your emotions change. How you used to love others, how you are so jovial, suddenly you become angry, you are carrying so much in yourself, so much bitterness, so much anger, and you start blaming yourself, the self-blame, the shaming. You shame yourself, you start feeling guilty. Is it something that I did? Maybe I could have done this, there's all that, and we know it's not going to change. It's not going to change any situation the way things are at that moment. So you quickly talk to somebody so that things start to get lighter. And eventually it's going to be okay. Don't walk alone, I emphasize on that.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We've talked about the causes of CP. We've talked about the challenges that come with a CP diagnosis in terms of treatment, symptoms. We've also talked about the management options, how to manage CP. We've talked about therapy. We've talked about medication. And we've talked about having to see a neurologist to be able to manage CP. Now, even more importantly, we've talked about the psychological effects of CP and how to overcome that as a community and as individuals and families of children living with CP. Now, next, we are going to talk about nutrition and CP. Research from the World Health Organization actually shows that more than 60% of children living with CP are malnourished. So how do we handle that? We have George Omolo, who is a nutritionist. Karibu sana, George Omolo, to the show. It's been a while.
Thank you so much. It's been a while.
Umepotelea wapi?
Hapa na pale.
Hapa na pale.
Yeah.
Please talk to us about the nutrition of children with CP.
Okay, there are so many aspects of malnutrition to a CP patient. First, we are looking at feeding challenges. So when a patient is not able to swallow, or chew food, or because of the gastric, reflux issues, they may end up consuming less calories and also less nutrients and less proteins. So this will lead to malnutrition. So for those, because they are not able to swallow and of course chew, so we recommend texture-modified foods. So these are foods that are, soft. We can call them soft foods. But sometimes, if the parent is able, we can also they can do tube feeding. And of course, this is done in the hospital setup. So you can do tube feeding. But in our homes, we can practice, texture-modified foods, softer foods that may not irritate them. And again, when you look at gastrointestinal reflux, this will be caused by acidity, and this can be caused by greasy foods, acidic foods, So we tend to avoid those kind of foods. So if a food is greasy or acidic in nature, or spicy foods, so totally we remove those kind of foods from that regimen. And again, because of all those issues, you may find they may also have suffer from constipation. And so in that case, we'll recommend they consume high fiber diets, food that are rich in fiber, but low in fat, to be able to take care of the constipation that they may suffer. Yeah.
When we talk about high fiber, of course, we have Brookside milk that is fiber, fortified with fiber. And also, when we talk about the deficiency or the bone density, yes, we have Brookside Plus that is fortified with vitamin A and D. And vitamin A is also good for vision. Yes. And children with CP have also issues with vision. Not all the time, but most of the time. So vitamin A and D come in handy for the vision and for the bones.
Yes.
So Brookside milk has one of those varieties that you can actually consume. Now let's talk about the challenges of nutrition still when parents are not able to afford food. Research also shows that some of these challenges that come with malnutrition is because these families who have children who have been diagnosed with CP come from low-income families. So you'll find that they're not able to afford some foods. What would you advise them?
Okay, for that case, in fact, because we've talked about one of the major nutrient deficiencies is calcium and vitamin D, which are very important for bone mineralization. And we find that most of the patients who are CP, remember their movement is restricted. So, and because their movement is restricted, they may suffer low bone density. But also we're looking at the fact that because of the stigma that is there around this kind of patient, most of the parents do not expose these children to sunshine. So this again will affect the vitamin D absorption, so leading to osteoporosis later in life. So what we're trying to say, I know some dietary recommendations can be expensive for this kind of patient to get, but we have simpler meals that they can use. Of course, milk is one of the easily accessible dietary source that they can give to their patient because it's rich in calcium and vitamin D and all the other nutrients. But also we encourage use of fortified foods. I know currently we live in times when fortified foods are easily available. So we can encourage their parents to give them fortified foods. Almost all kinds of foods these days are fortified. We can also encourage supplementation, but again, supplementation comes at a cost. So we're just saying the meal has to be very easy and balanced. So the meal has to have fiber. It has, of course, they have to drink water. It has to have very good source of, dairy good sources. So it has to be diversified, but very simple that the parent can afford for those who may be of low, economic ladder. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, George. I really wish we would have had more time with you, but thank you for the insight on nutrition and children living with CP.
Thank you.
And of course, what is your parting shot, your last advice for children and parents living with CP?
My advice to parents is they should not be stigmatized. I mean, they should expose the children to sunshine because, like you say, one of the biggest risks is the low bone density. So at least they should expose the children to sunlight so that can be, get vitamin D. But also utilize the simplest sources of meals they can get. It doesn't have to be complicated, but just the simple, easily accessible sources of that. The food has to be well balanced. It has to be diversified. And of course, water is very important. And again, we cannot emphasize enough on the fiber. Fiber, we mean vegetables, we mean fruits. So they have to have enough to take care of the constipation. And of course, milk, we cannot overemphasize the importance because of the calcium, vitamin D, the protein C, and all this. So they need that. So dietary recommendation is, and in fact, what I also need to add, this kind of patients also need specialized care. They may need specialized nutrition attention, from a qualified nutritionist to be take care of their needs. Because again, I said, remember when you said, as much as the they have altered energy needs, there are those who are immobilized, they cannot move, yes, so they may need fewer calories. But again, we have those patients who have a higher muscle tone, so they may need higher calories. So specialized nutrition attention also will be very important for these patients.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, George, for your time. You've had all the information about nutrition that you need to hear from George Omolo, who is a nutritionist. And of course, every individual living with CP is different. So if you're in doubt, please see a doctor. Get the doctor to be able to help you. Blood tests can help to identify the different deficiencies, nutritional deficiencies that your child may have. And also, it is important to work with a team. A doctor, a dietitian, and a speech and language specialist will be able to tailor your child's specific nutritional needs. Thank you so much for staying with us. Up next, we have a feature on cerebral palsy. Please do stay tuned.
October 6th marks World Cerebral Palsy Day, a global movement to raise awareness, promote inclusion, and celebrate the lives of those living with CP. Across Africa and right here in Kenya, thousands live with this lifelong condition, many in silence, many in struggle. Brookside, in collaboration with Precious Blessing Cerebral Palsy Foundation, held a special event where caregivers came together to share stories of pain, perseverance, and purpose.
Our mom passed on 5 years ago, and I was left with my sister, anaitwa Sandra. Ako 14 years. She's living with cerebral palsy. Ako dependent, totally dependent. And anatumia diaper, kumfeed, kumfanyia kila kitu, yani aizi akajifanyia anything yako tu pale.
Cerebral palsy affects at least 17 million people worldwide, with millions more acting as caregivers. In Kenya, it is estimated that over 100,000 children live with the condition. Most are born with it, and while CP is not progressive, it is a lifelong condition. The challenges, however, grow daily.
Sandra akiwa mgonjwa nikamwambia acha niende nione Sandra ni mgonjwa, nataka kufanya nini? Nikaenda nikapata Sandra alikuwa na converse. Wenye alikuwa na converse nikambeba, nikampeleka. Do you know that doc aliniambia aje, siwezi. Mimi kitu naweza nikakusaidia Rebecca ni moja. Nidunge huyu mtoto shindano akufe, aache kukupatia kazi mingi.
It has not been easy. By the time she was arriving at that stage of having menstrual, sometimes she used to converse because of cramps. I'm not aware. I take her to the doctor. Sometimes you find her breasts are swollen. I even came to a stage of thinking, could it be cancer? You know, sometimes as women, we are told to check our breasts. So as she was approaching puberty, I was very keen. But during now her menstrual time, it just came automatically, but out of so many conversions, na sikuelewa kwamba ni cramps.
We've been facing the stigma from these other parents, but we are trying to manage them. So these kids are on diet ever. They've got special diets that they are supposed to take. The medication, the anticonvulsants, because they ever convulse ever since. Then they are always on diapers. So some of these things, like to us as parents, it's a little bit difficult to acquire and purchase them. So we find it as part of the challenges, but we try to maneuver it by our own selves.
The World Cerebral Palsy Day theme this year was Unique and United. This theme celebrates the individuality of people with CP while also highlighting the importance of unity, inclusion, and belonging in society. It reflects the idea that every person's uniqueness strengthens the global CP community.
Hizo madawa ni expensive. Unaona kama sahi ukienda kununua epilim syrup na mtoto anatumia for only 1 month, unapata ni kitu around 2600 2500. Ndio huyo mtoto apate. Mtu kama mimi nilidrop dawa juu sina hiyo uwezo.
Thanks to the partnership between Brookside and Precious Blessings CP Foundation, these caregivers received essential supplies from milk to diapers to groceries and, most importantly, community support.
The event has been so live. We are so grateful at least to have these sponsors that just decided to come and be part of our event today. We just say thank you to the couple, Africa and the Brookside, for them coming and standing with us as the parents that we do undergo the kind of ailing that we undergo currently. They have been there for us, and we really appreciate and say we are very grateful for that.
The reason why we are here is because we have the Brookside Plus range of products that are really suited for children with special needs, and cerebral palsy is one of these kind of children because they have special needs. They need high fiber foods, they need probiotic yogurt, they need, some of them suffer from cow milk protein allergies, and we're also working with such kind of foundations to improve the products every day. So the reason why we are here is we are going to partner with this association to just see that we can also in future innovate products that are really very specific to this kind of children.
Behind every child with CP is a warrior parent or caregiver fighting silent battles against stigma, poverty, and loneliness. But today, on this special day, they are reminded that their journey is shared and their strength is celebrated.
All right, that is it from us. We've talked about the causes, the challenges, and of course, the management options for CP. And we've said that it is not all gloom and doom. If your child has just been diagnosed with CP, remember that it is not the end of life. Talk to someone, talk to people like Mrs. Chege here, who has founded the CP Foundation, the Precious Blessing CP Foundation. Find support in such groups. And of course, for those who are living with children and parents of who have been diagnosed with CP, remember that love conquers all. So if you're not living with a child with CP, you would know someone who has a child with CP. The best thing to do is to embrace them as your friends, your family. You know, love conquers all. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Chebet Birir. Have a lovely evening. And this show has been sponsored by Brookside Plus, Live Life Plus.